With more and more corporations throwing in with the left, Republicans are less interested in protecting companies and their wishes and more interested in addressing the needs of American workers. And that's paying off for the GOP, literally. As we've shared on this program, Republicans are seeing a surge of donations with the sheer number of people giving to the conservative cause offsetting the punch that corporate America thought they had. Are we witnessing a seismic shift? What does this mean for the GOP, and what does this mean for corporations? Well, a warning was recently issued to the business community by CGCN, a government affairs firm staffed by top GOP insiders. Joining me now to talk about this memo is Matt Boyle, the Washington political editor at Breitbart News. Matt, welcome to Washington Watch.
Yeah, thanks for having me. This is a huge story.
Well, tell us what CGCN is and why this memo is notable.
Yeah, so CGCN is a government affairs, public affairs firm in Washington, D.C. It's staffed by a whole ton of different people from across the political spectrum in the Republican Party. There's former Mitt Romney staffers, former Kevin McCarthy staffers, former Donald Trump staffers, right? So like kind of your and everybody in between, right? Like, so it's a big firm, a lot of Republicans. And what they do is they advise various companies as well as various organizations, trade associations, et cetera, on how to deal with Republican lawmakers. And what they did was they put together this memo. It's unsigned, so it's not written by a particular person at the firm. It's a firm that's staffed by everybody from, runs the gamut of former Romney staffers to former Trump staffers and everybody in between. So what they did was they put together this memo to corporations, right? It's more of an open letter, not just to companies, but it can be taken as a message, as a warning to companies that as they throw in with the woke leftist ideology of pushing for everything from the transgender agenda to the immigration agenda to minimum wage agenda of the hard left of the Democrat Party and everything in between, right? So you're seeing this more and more from companies embracing woke ideology. Companies were traditionally protected by Republicans. Republicans were the party of fighting back against corporate tax hikes. They were the party of fighting back against certain fighting for like open trade deals, free trade deals type of a thing. You're starting to see that less and less among Republicans. Yep. Not that the Republicans are racing to raise taxes or something like that, but ultimately the Republicans are more focused on the populist agenda.
And on that point, on that point, why do we think? Because the political leadership on the left is not shy about looking down their nose, at least publicly, at the business community, and they do make life harder for businesses. Why is it that we're seeing this shift in the business world away from what appears to be in their best interest to kind of like just left-wing cultural issues?
Yeah, so I think that part of the reason why the business community is doing this is out of fear, right? They're kowtowing, they're bowing down before these crazy radical leftists. You see cancel culture running rampant across the board, people attacking people in the media, and it's kind of an appeasement strategy from corporate America to appease this radical, dictatorial, almost leftist worldview, especially as, you see Democrat complete control in Washington and some state houses or some state capitals like Virginia, right, like has just gone fully left in the last state house elections that they had. So again, I think that part of it is it's, there's an appeasement strategy there. But
is it
on the
paying
other
off
side
for them?
of the coin here, that's the big question. It's not really. The left isn't like giving them anything for caving into every one of their demands. They just demand more every single time. It's like when you deal with a terrorist, if you negotiate with a terrorist, once they figure out that you can you can be negotiated with, then they demand more.
I think that's the right analogy here. I think it's economic terrorism.
Yeah, and so ultimately, the kind of the warning here is that, hey, guys, the Republicans aren't going to be here to protect you forever. They've got other priorities, and they're sticking up for the American worker. And we're seeing this more and more, especially as the old guard of the Republican Party sweeps out of office. It's a trend I've been tracking for a long time. During Trump's presidency, in just the first couple of years, I think it was late 2019, I did this big story. It was right around New Year's with a big interview with Tucker Carlson about it, where you had it was about 2.5 years into Trump, something like 45-50% of the Republicans who had been in the House when Trump took office and when he won the election were now either gone or on their way out. It's even more than that on the House side. Now you're seeing it on the Senate side. There's a ton of retirements happening all across the country. Senator Toomey in Pennsylvania, Portman in Ohio, Blunt in Missouri. Right? These are the old guard Republicans. They're leaving. Who's taking their place? It's people like Josh Hawley, Marsha Blackburn, Bill Hagerty, right? Like it's a firebrand populist. People like Ron DeSantis are getting elected governor in Florida. So what's happening is the old guard is leaving and receding. The new guard is coming in. The new guard is populist. They're not gunning for tax hikes or anything, but hey, guess what? They're more interested in protecting the American worker than they are in the corporate ideology.
Yeah, what does this mean? Because for the financial position, because we talked about the business community maybe giving less to Republicans, but is that gap being backfilled by just more smaller contributions from kind of a new kind of Republican?
Yeah, so one of the things that's really interesting is you're seeing Josh Hawley, for instance, I think was the highest amount of fundraising of any Senate Republican in the first few months of this year. Josh Hawley is probably one of the most populist upstart Republican senators from Missouri. And again, that trend is replacing those corporate donations.
Well, it's a really interesting conversation long term to see what this is going to mean for the Republican coalition. And Matt Boyle, Washington political editor at Breitbart, thank you so much for your time today and for tracking this. I know we'll be back with you as this develops. Thanks for your time.